55 politicians who have been reportedly said to have stolen 1.354 trillion naira between 2006 and 2013 are yet to have been successfully prosecuted.
Yes.
Out of this 55, so far, only 10 have been successfully prosecuted. I'll give you a long list of the cases that are pending. We have the Joshua Dari, we have the Saminu Turaki, Jolin Yame, Sule Lamido, Aliyu. I mean, it's a long list.
It's a long list.
And these are all VIPs,
yes.
some governors,
yes.
Past leaders. What is really the problem?
Well, in Nigeria, we have what I call a socio-cultural issue, an attitude, a mental attitude. When we see those who are supposedly wealthy, we tend to give them preference in every sphere of life, in the churches, in the mosques, in government, in our social life. Even psychologically, we have a feeling that it's only people with money that have ideas, or only people with money that should be listened to. But that's one aspect of the issue. Another aspect of the issue is the weak investigative capacity of our policing and investigative organizations. To prosecute anyone, you need evidence. Some people have the capacity to obscure evidence. Some people have the capacity to obstruct the cause of justice. Some people, in fact, some of our investigative agencies don't do a thorough enough job. And at times, some of the prosecution, I mean, if the truth must be told, at times, the prosecution could be instigated by political reasons, not that you don't have a guilty person at the end of the line, but you're too in a hurry to make a political point, that you're not thorough enough to take the evidence and put it through the channel it should go to, sufficient for you at the end of the day to make a prosecution.
In 2017, EFCC lost about 23 of its cases because,
yes.
In fact, the courts threw it out because they did not gather enough evidence
yes.
to run with.
That's precisely what I'm saying. So, that's it. And because there's politics, they say if you want to catch a thief, you've got to catch him like this, right? You can't catch him like this. We have a legal system that runs with evidence, and evidence changes from time to time. These days, the Evidence Act, the Nigerian Evidence Act, has not yet fully incorporated new methods of things like stealing and appropriation. You have a lot of cyber activity involved in transfer of money, transfer of cash. The entire gamut of terrorist financing and corruption and money laundering is predicated on the internet and the ability to transfer money. Look at our Evidence Act. How well robust is it to capture some of these? Look at the quality of our policemen. Look at the quality of investigators in the EFCC and the ICPC, right? When the FBI was to be founded in the US, it was exclusively peopled by lawyers and accountants and forensic insurers, actuaries. Now, you don't have the same thing here.
I was about to ask, do we have that?
You don't have the same thing. You don't, even the police, the quality of the police we have here can't pursue them. When you go out, you see a policeman carrying the umbrella or a handbag for supposedly a politically exposed person, supposedly a VIP. He's carrying his handbag. It's the same policeman you expect at some point in time to prosecute. So when you create a society that is not inclusive, when you create a society that does not put people on an equal level, this is the kind of thing you get. Some people will get away.
Are you saying
can I just mention one thing
are
last?
Compromised already?
Absolutely. Another thing is that we don't have proper records. We don't keep records. So people who have done damage to the society ages ago, you don't have the previous records. So look at our forensic. You have to. The first thing you need to gather evidence to prosecute someone is information and proper records. The proper records are not there. The way and manner we record cases in police stations, as simple as that. So you can have somebody who is, look, we have two cases, and I wouldn't want to mention the names. We have two cases, two individuals in this country, very, very high-ranking individuals. One was a governor, another is aspiring to be a governor. Both of them are supposed to have criminal records. In Nigeria here, one of them who was a retired governor, who's a governor who's expired, actually had a criminal case in his youth in the magistrate court. I think it was Bayelsa State or something. And they had the records there. And people came out to say, no, he was not the one. You know, and many people knew that he was the one. But because the court records were obfuscated, you couldn't get that. The second person has records all over the place that says that he's involved in certain nefarious activities. But we don't keep those records. Go to any police station in this country. Go to the EFCC itself. Do they have fingerprinting? Do they have the proper forensic, equipment to be able to track?
Okay, from the picture you've just painted, yes, it shows that the Nigerian system is structured to favor the VIPs and to let them go no matter what they do.
It is definitely not structured to face the ordinary citizen. And so what people do is that they steal enough money, rely on the immunity clauses, then they hold a percentage of that money to defend themselves downstream whenever there is an issue,
and even
either in terms of bribe or plea bargain. And of course, because they are big men, the same circles as the people who are prosecuting them, same circles as people who are in government. And we know that we've had people in government, even under this regime, you have had high-level people that have not been investigated. You have the case of the Secretary to the Federal Government. In the previous government, you had high-level people who are never prosecuted.
But then we're fighting a war against corruption.
Yes.
It's as if Nigeria is used to fighting wars. There was a time we fought a war against poverty. That's Operation Feed the Nation,
yes,
by the Obasanjo regime that was back in the military era. Now we're also fighting a war against corruption. Yes. How far have we gone when it comes to getting our VIPs accountable? I know that there's some cases against people who've held public office. Yes, even though there's a lot of outcry saying it is witch hunting and all of that. But would you say that the present government has gone a step further?
Well, I'm not too sure about that, because you have to fight things like corruption institutionally. You have to build the institutional structures to fight corruption. You don't go after individuals and expect to win the war. Secondly, no army goes to war without being united. There's an issue of how do we track people who are corrupt, and at what point do we act? Do we act on them because they belong? The chairman of the APC came out with a statement to say that as soon as you enter the APC, your sins are forgiven. Allegedly, he said that. Now, what does that speak to you? It simply means that corruption will be tolerated as long as it is from the right person, or corruption will be attacked as long as it is from the wrong person. There are people within the current. So until we stop all these double standards and we have a level playing field, and this is what my brother was trying to say, that you build institutions, not personalities. Nigeria has been used to building personalities. It's a question, do you know? One of the most popular things people say is that, do you know who I am? When you have an issue with them, they say, do you know who I am? Do you know the implication of that? It means that who I am will determine whether you will get justice or not.